15 years ago, it really felt like there was ample opportunity to grow billion-dollar SaaS companies from innovative ideas and engineering know-how. But in a world where AI can scrape the web with deep research, doing detailed competitor analysis in the space of 20 minutes, and then write thousands of lines of code in an afternoon, what does that even mean for traditional product moats? I really love the metaphor of blue ocean strategy when thinking about product moats. If you're not familiar with blue ocean strategy, I'll put a link to a write-up in the description below. But essentially, it's about this idea that there are two types of oceans. There are blue oceans and red oceans. And red oceans, they're full of sharks. There's lots of blood in the water. It's obvious where the value is, but it's obvious because there's lots of competition. And when you're entering a red ocean, the way that you win is by eking out marginal advantage, right? You're testing small features over time to see what works and to sort of take small steps ahead of the competition or to the side of the competition. Blue ocean strategy, on the other hand, is about finding markets through innovative value realization, markets where there isn't anyone else playing, so that you can get out ahead, you can develop a really meaningful moat that makes it really difficult to chase up. That doesn't mean it has to be wildly innovative. Often it's actually really mundane and it's in its value that's hiding in plain sight. A great example is Tesla. Cars aren't new. EVs certainly weren't new, but Tesla managed to find a really specific niche for a certain level of luxury EV that meant they found some blue ocean, they got a really good moat, and to be honest, they still don't really have a lot of great competition in that space even today. When I think in the SaaS space, and I think of blue ocean, Slack, I think is a great example. We had emails and we had chat and we had SMS. We had all of these ways of communicating, but Slack didn't come in and try and make a new communication tool. They came in and made a way for you to have better teams through persistent messaging, and they allowed connection in a way that messaging platforms didn't. And they forged some really great blue ocean. They got some really great moat through doing that. Obviously, there are thousands of examples of red ocean SaaS products. When I think of something like Zoom, for example, as a counterpoint to Slack, there were plenty of ways for people to send messages in a business context or in a personal context beforehand, but they really took off during COVID because they were in the right place at the right time. But there just wasn't much of a moat. There wasn't much to really keep the competition out. And you see that now as Zoom has really sort of faded from the limelight compared to where they were 5 years ago. So what is it that actually allows these blue ocean companies to develop the moats that they have? Well, like I touched on in the intro, I think a big part of it is human know-how, right? A big part of it is being able to conduct really high quality market research to understand where there's unmet need. A big part of it is engineering know-how, is that scarcity of engineering knowledge that's out there. But in a world where deep research, for example, is able to do phenomenal things in the competitive research space, what does that mean for business analysts and strategists in a world where AI coding tools are able to really elevate the skill level of a lot of people such that they can actually engineer genuinely complex products, which it's not quite prime time yet, but you can see that it's definitely coming. It's definitely going to be there. What does that mean for those companies that are finding blue ocean? Does it mean that it's not there anymore? Are all oceans going to be red from now on? And what on earth does it mean for companies that are operating in products that exist in that really high competitive space? Is that Is that just not a thing anymore? In fact, if it's so competitive, is it really just process? And is that process does it just evaporate? Do we see things like the play that Klarna made with getting rid of Salesforce and basically using AI to automate those processes? Can we basically go back to a world where uh, before SaaS products, before all these automation products, where humans did everything, only instead of humans we have agents? And so those red oceans don't even exist anymore because generic or somewhat fine-tuned agents are capable of doing so much of this work that was previously done by products. It's a really, really interesting space. I think there is still room for blue ocean products, but I just think we're going to have to lean into different types of moat, because engineering scarcity and business know-how are maybe no longer key competencies in that space. I think it will probably be other things that are maybe more human, things that AI can't replicate. It'll be things around how we build community. It'll be things around appealing to people on an emotional basis, for example. Yeah, I think it's a really, really interesting space and something that I'm really keen to dig into in more detail, and that I'm really keen to hear from you about what your thoughts are. So please leave a comment, and I'm really keen to have you along on this journey. Thanks.